I think one of the things when you think about how am I going to change processes, how am I going to improve them, um, I think you should take and like start with yourself and then work outwards. And one of the things I think is really important is to lead by example in these areas. So I'm constantly on my teams thinking about, and this is why doing IC work helps me because I have a core team. I'm thinking about it and I've changed quite a bit and I've become a lot more systematic about being explicit. Like I always in my mind sort of had this framework of who is my customer, what is their problem, what is the solution. I am now very explicit in communicating to everybody, this is what we will talk about. Who is our customer? What is their problem? What is the solution? I have made that very explicit. Like all of my slides will say that. Every time we present anything, we talk about that. Um, and maybe this is your question, or maybe it's not getting at it, Jeremy, but I've been really explicit about doing that on my squad, on my core team. I've then actually been very explicit in how I share that across the organization, that framework. Like all of my slides, everything I present about what I'm doing is in that framework. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm trying to define the process on my team, but I'm also actually trying to guide and lead my entire product organization, like all of the PMs that work on my teams. So I'm doing that on my squad. I'm sharing that across the company. I'm using that and talking to the PMs that I manage about that process so that they can see it in practice. And I'm trying to talk to the entire company. That's just how I'm presenting the work. So they see it as like, oh, this is the product that Tanya's launching. What I'm actually doing is this is the product that Tanya's launching. This is the process that Tanya is also has implemented on her team, but is also trying to get all of you to adopt. And then we will have a conversation about, oh, this is now the new process that I think our organization should adopt. And this is how we put it into practice. I think too often I've been in organizations where they go through and they say, let's talk about our PM process. Let's write about a bunch of documentation about it. And then that documentation is completely separate or like lives in isolation of how we actually operationalize day-to-day work, how we talk about our products. So I think if you're thinking about your process, you need to think about not just how you define or document that process, but how you're like reinforcing that process every day on your team, communicating it out to your org, and testing and refining that process. It can't be the thing that you write down.